Welcome to Louisville ISD's Red Ribbon Campaign for 2021. Since its beginning in 1985, the Red Ribbon Campaign has touched the lives of millions of people. In response to the murder of DEA agent Enrique Camarena, angered parents and youth and communities across the country began wearing red ribbons as a symbol of their commitment to raise awareness of the damage caused by drugs in America. So now, every year in October, many U.S. schools hold a Red Ribbon Campaign to raise awareness of the impact of drugs on families, communities, and individuals. During October, LISD students will examine common situations that they may come across in social settings and become better equipped at saying no to vaping, alcohol, or drugs, and understanding how misusing substances like prescription medications will impact their body and brain over the short and long term, and learn how to seek help and use healthy coping strategies instead. Lesson 1 will be over the science of addiction. Students will acquire basic knowledge about the misuse of drugs and alcohol and how it affects our body and brain. Your brain is who you are. It's what allows you to think, to breathe, move, speak, and feel. It's 3 pounds of gray and white matter, and it acts as your own personal mission control, coordinating messages for your body functions. Messages from your brain to your body are dependent on neurotransmitters like dopamine. Drugs and alcohol can negatively affect brain function and impact the way messages are carried in the brain and body.
Now, you know what? The best natural high, though, in terms of being studied is exercise. Who here loves to run? Any runners in the room? 3 people? Who here hates running? Everybody else? All right. Okay. Here's something you should know about exercise. After 30 minutes of any exercise that gets your heart rate up, could be cycling, could be swimming, could be running, your brain releases chemicals. Do you know what they're called? Endorphins. Nice. One of those endorphins is a funny name, though. Anandamide. Anandamide gets released when you exercise for about 30 minutes or more. It improves your mood and improves your memory. Smoking weed, which, by the way, THC, the active ingredient in marijuana, looks so much like anandamide. Smoking weed has the opposite effect. Do that 3 or 4 times a week as a teenager, your mood gets worse, your memory gets worse. In your brain, you have one mechanism for producing highs, for making you feel happy. When you do it naturally, through sports, through laughter, through meditation, what happens is your brain releases these chemicals and you feel good, but it balances the chemicals. It never releases so much of the chemicals that it damages your brain tissue. But when you pursue a high with a drug, okay, you're forcing your brain into a state it doesn't naturally want to be in. And your brain responds by doing various things. First of all, your brain can become damaged if you give it too much of the chemicals, and it's toxic essentially for the pleasure center. But over time, let's say you use something like weed on a regular basis, your brain responds with something called homeostasis, which is it trying to maintain balance. You force your brain into a high state, the brain reacts by putting you in a low state to try to respond to it. And what we see over time is people who use drugs a lot, their everyday life becomes dull, gray, listless, and they start to use drugs just to feel normal. So you have a choice. You get to choose in your life how you're going to get a high. And this is the time in your life when it's so important. It's as important as choosing what kind of food are you going to eat. Are you going to pursue fast food that's unhealthy for you, that you know is going to lead to some pretty negative health outcomes? Or do you choose slow food, more fresh, unprocessed foods if you can get your hands on them? What's your choice going to be? My name is Matt Bellis, and my natural high is surfing.
Let's review the impact of substances on your body and brain. Misusing drugs can affect many parts of the nervous system, including the peripheral nervous system and the muscles it controls. For example, marijuana and alcohol can make you feel uncoordinated and clumsy. Drugs impact involuntary systems like your heart as well. For example, cocaine tells your involuntary system to increase your heart rate as if you were stressed or panicked. Extended heart stimulation can cause high blood pressure, strokes, and heart attacks. Abusing prescription pain relievers could impact lung function and cause breathing to slow down. Taking large quantities or using them inappropriately, for example injecting them, can slow breathing to dangerous levels and lead to death. Long-term alcohol use interferes with the body's absorption of calcium, which can weaken bones and lead to diseases like osteoporosis. Drugs affect mostly three areas of your brain, including your brainstem, your limbic system, and the cerebral cortex. The limbic system regulates mood and controls basic emotions through the production of neurotransmitters like dopamine. Some drugs mimic an overproduction of dopamine. When the drug use is stopped, the brain is unable to correctly produce dopamine, and the brain experiences symptoms of withdrawal. The cerebral cortex is the outer part of the brain, the gray matter, and that controls specific functions. Some areas process information from our senses, allowing us to see, feel, hear, and taste. Frontal cortex, or forebrain, is the thinking center, and it powers our ability to think, plan, solve problems, and make decisions. Drugs and alcohol prevent or slow information transfer from your brain to your body. Your teacher can now pause the video. Y'all can complete the 2021 National Drug and Alcohol IQ Challenge as a class. Return to this video when your challenge is completed. Let's take a quick quiz. What impact do substances like drugs and alcohol have on your body and brain? The answers are at the end of the questions. There are 5. Number 1, taking drugs could make your brain A, become addicted to artificial production of dopamine, B, become foggy or forgetful, C, slow your breathing, D, lose balance until you fall, or E, all of the above. Number 2, taking drugs could make your bones not absorb calcium, B, increase the risk of osteoporosis, or C, both of the above. 3, taking drugs could make your digestive system A, lead to nausea or vomiting, B, lead to tissue damage, or C, both A and B. Number 4, taking drugs could make your heart mimic panic and speed up, B, slow down, C, suddenly stop, which may lead to death, or D, all of the above. Number 5, taking drugs could make your lungs A, slow your breathing until it is labored, B, stop breathing and cause death, C, both A and B. If you selected all of the above for every question, you are correct. Drugs can have multiple negative effects on your body and brain. At this time, your teacher will now pause the video for discussion. What are some examples of how using drugs harms the brain and body? Can you think of other ways in which drug abuse could harm a person? What are some impacts of drugs on your brain? Do you think teens are less likely to abuse drugs when they know the health effects? Why or why not? After the discussion, please review the support and recovery. Drugs do impact the way the brain works, making it hard for some people to quit taking them, even if they want to. Recovery is a process. It's not always an easy road, but support from family and friends and access to treatment programs can help individuals manage and hopefully overcome addiction. If you or a loved one need help, Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration National Helpline is 1-800-662-HELP.